Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Straight to It by way of what you are thinking about out loud. You know who I am. I am Clem Boogie. That is Yaya, Queen of Snark, and here we go.
You like it.
Uh, Yaya, please lead us into tonight's conversation topics.
Well, just a couple things. First one, because probably the most recent, is obviously March Madness and the men's and women's coverage, and the difference between the men's and women's coverage. Like, I understand the women's basketball WNBA standpoint that they want more coverage, equal coverage, however you want to spin it, but they don't do the same work nor make the same money.
Right.
So they're asking for something that kind of doesn't quite exist at the moment. Has it gotten better? Yes. Especially March Madness. I watched the women's much more than I did the men's.
Right.
I knew more about the women's. And to me, I don't know, maybe I was just paying attention to the women's more. But I knew a lot more of the women's teams than I did any of the guys outside of Cooper. What's his name? The guy from Duke. That's the only one I knew. Otherwise, the women's teams, I was on it. But I don't know if that was just me because I was just weren't in tune to it, or there was legitly better coverage. I don't say about the same, but better coverage.
Yeah, I think where it falls for me is that to piggyback off your argument, yeah, there's the level of production and I guess also length of seasons. I know in college it doesn't really matter because they kind of even out. Both men and female play generally the same amount of games.
These are the same. Yeah.
Right. So that landscape doesn't really change. But when you get to the professional ranks, obviously there's a distinct difference. I get that the WNBA feels, feeling as opposed to logistics. I get they feel that they paid their due, so to speak, and need to be paid, their fair trade of revenue and things of that nature. But having conversations with people, as you and I always have, and with other people outside, I just think the level of production just doesn't match up with the market, and it's forever going to be an issue. What it is going to take to change it, no idea. But it's like we're getting to the point now where, maybe not now because it was relatively a very productive season by, star power, numbers wise. It was a big, vast, drastic jump. But I just don't know if they have enough because on the flip side, they still are losing money. I forget they're losing like a couple $1 million or something like that. But they also infused 2.2 billion or something like that. So they are making money, but I don't know.
Like, are the women working hard? Yes, they are working hard. Like, no one's disputing that. They are putting the work in and, words getting out, popularity is going up. That's fine. But like any other job in the world, to get paid at least the same, you have to do the same job.
I agree.
They're playing the same sport, but it ends there. Their season is much shorter. They don't have nearly as many teams, obviously. The revenue is, it's increasing. Is it NBA status? No. And it'll take some time before it gets to NBA revenue status. Yeah. And they cannot function on their own. They're literally running on the back of the NBA. And if they cannot they're not self-sustaining.
Right.
So getting paid more money, that's great, but the NBA is the one paying that money. Sponsorships add money to it. Yes, like also add money to it, but you to get paid what you want as the men, you have to put out a product that is at least equivalent to the minimum of the men's.
Right.
And they're not there yet.
Yeah. I also agree. But, just to take it a step further, I think the arguments coming from some of the women, not all, obviously, I think at this point they just need their stars to really step up and carry the WNBA. I don't know what it's going to take. I know I've had conversations on here before. The president or CEO, commissioner of the WNBA is a former consultant honcho. So I'm trying to understand what it is that she doesn't see. Obviously, there's a methodology that works in some way. There's always going to be a solution to something, but it's whatever they're trying to infuse and implement in the WNBA. It hasn't worked thus far. Like I said, they also stand to lose money. I don't know how that comes to be, but in some regard, the money game is tricky, right? Because people are going to always want to watch and see what they want. It's you're not going to force feed a product that people have no tolerance to watch or desire to watch in any way, shape, or form. So I think a lot of times, you're not going to see a lot of women these days dunking. I mean, you do, but it's
Yeah.
high flying, super athletic. You don't get that. I mean, you had the Candace Parkers, you had Sylvia Fowles, you had Maya Moore, you had those that were like athletic.
Yeah.
I want to just say athletic for women, but they were athletic. If you've seen them up close in person, they're athletic. But I guess the challenging part is that it's just not there. And I think now with the society and the way the way culture is now, everything is based on social media, and everything is based on narratives and storylines. So I think that's the next phase of things.
They're in social media, but they want results now. I want to do it now. Like, why are we getting this now?
Right.
When granted, WNBA has been around for a while, but
Yep.
they were a losing market. And, they've had big names also in the past, but it's one that like waxes and wanes. So, because we've had obviously Dana Taurasi, we've had Sue Bird, we had
Mhm.
Lobo, like we've had Cheryl Swoops, we've had big name people.
Yep.
But it's not. I think my thing is they haven't been consistent. And when they do have the opportunity of a name to help build the brand, they kind of didn't handle it prior to the best of its capacity.
Right.
So, and then, you heard the debates. Well, it's this because of this particular reason. Like you heard they brought race and stuff into it. I'm like,
That's fine.
that really had no place here. Talent was still talent.
Yeah.
You had the opportunity to build a brand, a fantastic brand, and you kind of squandered it.
Right.
And people were watching. So if they're like, well, if that's how they're gonna treat someone of that type of caliber, how are they gonna treat me? I'm not that great, so how is this gonna work out for me? People are watching this. I'm like, what's enticing to join the league?
Right. Well, to your point, it's the way they market these things. It's I don't want to say tricky. I think they're very intentional in how they market a lot of the stuff for like sports, period.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the WNBA, it's I don't know, it's sort of lackluster. It just doesn't have the same amount of push. Like I think the women's NCAA does a great job of doing it. Like you see Juju in State Farm commercials, you see Paige and all assortments of conversations and marketing strategies. You see literally all of them. Even
Flo
when
J, all of them, they all have some type
right,
of
exactly. Like Flo J, they show off her rapping skills and letting it be known she's signed with Rock Nation and things like that. So across the board, yeah. But I think when it's something to be said when they leave school, like Angel Reese did, or Cameron Brink, or the tall Brazilian girl, when they leave school, you hear about them, but like in little pockets. It's not like how you were hearing about them when they were in school. And I don't know, maybe it's the caliber of school that they were going, and maybe it's the semen, the market that they are right now. But it seems to be a struggle just to get the name out there. Obviously, people are going to feel a way because Caitlin Clark and the Caitlin Clark campaign and her, Nike basically, giving her crown and things like that, and everybody feeling the way they did. So it just provided a great narrative, and it just got crazy, and people just ran with it.
Oh, there is, like you said, there is some type of disconnect.
Right.
It's where it's like they're like out in the world, like, all right, good job, and like got left alone. They're like, I don't know what to do now, type of thing. It gets, I guess, like it's a little murky. I don't know, but
Right.
I like the women's watching. I use women's college ball because, to me personally, watch them compared to the guys play.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching them, like how they play, to me was even different. Like from it appeared to me that the girls like play because like they really want to play.
Right.
Like they were appears to me to be like much more aggressive, like much more, like they're more passionate about it.
Right.
As opposed to the guys are like, meh, I don't know. I can't speak really on the men's or NBA because that's something I particularly follow. But just March Madness because games are back to back to back, so you got to see all of it, and they just didn't seem as excited.
I agree with you, and you're on to something. I think from the men's standpoint, just the overall of the guys, it's just, I don't want to say not entertaining, but NIL, right? I think we touched on it on one of our previous episodes. The NIL thing has kind of taken a life of its own, also, mixed in with the transfer portal and things like that. And this is just all surface level in college sports, whether it's football, basketball, even baseball, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the competitive aspect, if you ask any male, the competitive aspect when they're watching anything is just gone. Even sometimes in the professional ranks, it's gone. That's why primarily the ratings for NBA, has suffered. And, I know people want to just like kind of kick around, the topic about, oh, well, this generation, it has nothing to do with generations. I think it has, the competitive aspect is no longer there. And I think a lot of people, especially the fan base, viewership and things like that, they're telling you. Yeah. Everybody's always saying men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. So clearly the numbers are telling you something. And so, it has nothing to do. People are super athletic. Yes, there are, you got LeBron who's like 40 whatever, and he's running around jumping like he's 25. And, it's just not a watchable thing. I'm also a suspect of that as well, where I'm just like, I'll watch maybe a half of basketball. And usually a lot of times I'm watching it, one team is down by like 20, 25 points by halftime. That's not interesting.
Yeah. No.
I'm just not going to sit there. And, but that's also, I guess that's part of the poison that's being infused, NIL, people not wanting to compete, people just don't know or want to deal with, difficulty. I think that's what it looks like to me. And I think a lot of people are now visualizing it in real time.
Despite the fact that like the men's side has become more lackluster though, but because they're already on a much bigger platform, like the revenue is still there.
Right.
Despite them being not great, not exciting, viewership is down, they're still pulling in huge amounts of money.
Right.
Because of the markets that, there's much bigger markets. Because the girls, especially like WNBA, they're not in small markets. They have a game in New York, Dallas, and, LA. So these are big sports markets.
Right.
But even like some of the televised games, there's really even not that many. Now because of popularity last year, they're having much more televised national games. But because Indiana has the most televised games, that became a problem also. So I was like, listen, let the people at least watch, and they say, well, this seems really good. Let me check out, does my place have a team? Let me check this team out. Like, it's still something. It's something. It's like bait. You got to bait these people to watch you.
Right.
Does it matter if it's Indiana? No. Be happy that people are watching.
Yeah. Look, we could sit here and kick around what the elephant is in the room, but I'll just say it, and I'll be the bad guy for saying it. I think, we've all been in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've known the mentality, and a lot of women will say it. They hate working with women. Other women hate working with women. And I think the irony of it is that, like, it's a women-driven league. And the direction of it is that if some don't get their way, they'll start complaining. And that was more evident this season. Even though there was drastic growth, I think a lot of people had a hard time with what you just said, Indiana being the poster children and that one particular player being the poster child of the WNBA, being in the headlines, being on every, game of the week, and just hailing all kinds of praise and just being the talk of the town. And I think
people got in their feelings, and they should have taken, because it was a very good draft class.
Yep.
You had the injuries, so they're coming back. They're coming off the antics of the past couple of March Madness tournaments. So they were still using that kind of momentum. But it was a very good draft class. Cameron, unfortunately, blew her knee out, but there were still other pieces that they could have used to utilize it. So I'm curious to see now with this draft class, because also a very good draft class coming out now.
Right.
We'll see, because I'm waiting for more transfer portal announcements to come through.
Yeah, well,
it's
an adopted behavior now, which we touched on, the transfer portal and not wanting to compete, and that whole, it gets murky. Like, people can call it what it is, as far as like it's the people's prerogatives, and coaches have been doing it for all this time, yada yada. But when we get to the point where you're like 25, 26, damn near 30, and you still have, and someone tells me that this person such and such still has some form of eligibility left.
My favorite guy, Carson Beck.
Yeah, I think we have a problem. I don't care, man or woman, we have a problem. When we went to school, when we were in school, I think you had one redshirt year, and you had one opportunity, maybe two, to transfer, and that was because of like injury or whatever the circumstances were. And sometimes you had to like really fight to get the eligibility. But this time now they're giving the eligibility out like it's gift cards. So I have no understanding, unless like I'm just at a miss of what's going on, or I'm just too far removed, and money is far more, lucid, and it's evident right now. Like, that we know there was money given out back in our day, but like now it's like
not like this.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's not like this, and it's like massive in real time.
Well, money is always going to be a driving force, but I'm just curious to see how they're going to treat this draft class now coming through, what they're going to do. Because there's a few pieces that are coming through. My girl Paige, I love her. A couple of her teammates coming on. South Carolina, LSU threes are entering to draft. So I'm curious to see how they treat this new class now coming in, if they're going to keep the same I guess like boardroom tactics. I'm just curious to see if they learn from last year, to put it that way. If they learn from some of the mistakes.
Right. Only time will tell. I think people will always be bitter because they don't have their just due, or whatever that's supposed to mean. But I just don't think a lot of people understand that, like, what Caitlin Clark provided as far as putting the sport in itself on the map, but kind of elevating it because of who she is and like, that whole backing, that whole machine that was put behind her. I mean, you can feel how you want to feel. It brought more eyes to the sport.
It did.
And I think from an economic standpoint, I don't think a lot of players were ready to believe, because at the beginning you heard like players saying, "Oh, it's not going to be that easy, and she has to pay her dues, and who is this chick, and blah blah blah," all the way to the point where race got brought involved, and she's only popular because she's white.
And she's good, but she's legitimately good. That's what I'm saying. I'm curious to know what this draft class is now, if they're going to give now Paige the same type of heat that they gave Caitlin.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the funny part is that Paige was the Caitlin Clark. Like she was the it girl, because they all, if I'm not mistaken, they all came to college at the same time, 2020. Yeah. Her, Reese, Cameron, Cardozo, and Caitlin. And I think those actually, they were the top 4 or 5 in their class, recruiting class.
Paige was going to enter because she lost to Iowa on that Final Four, that championship year. Right. And she was going to enter to draft, and then she said, "No, I'm going to do one more year." And she stayed behind.
Right.
She won a championship out of it, got her championship out of it, but
congratulations to UConn.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but
yeah. But you're never gonna, with the WNBA and women's sports in totality,
they're just not gonna be happy. They'll just never be happy.
Right, I'm glad you said it.
It's true, because even if they got everything they wanted, they'll just find something else.
Correct.
That's just how it's going to be. But all right. So one of the other things that I love picking your brain on is how can I put this? I say the choice in outfits and going out attire has changed over the years. It has changed from when our clubbing years. I mean, for us, going out was business casual.
Right.
I had blazers about 4 different colors. That was just the way it was. Business casual. Took out to the bar, which sounds weird.
Right.
But I was always taught there is a time and a place for all outfits, any outfits, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And the lines seem to have been blurred just a little bit. We have the office siren debacle that I showed my mom. I was like, "Mom, question." She's well. I was like, "Would you, if you saw," and mind you, she worked at like Astor Head Start. So I was like, "If you had a teacher who walked in with this attire, what, and what would you think?" She didn't think too many kind things. She thought they were of a particular type of person, being that he came to work with the children half naked.
Yeah.
I was like, "Mom, that's the thing now." She said, "What do you mean?" I go, "That's the thing. This is a thing now." And she was like, "But don't these people get fired?" I go, "Apparently, well, they do sometimes, but people have an issue that people can't be dressed like this at work." Yeah. And she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Mom, I don't know. They have no home training. I could not tell you." And then I showed her some other outfits. I just basically went to I opened a Fashion Nova app. I was like, "Mom, come here." And the amount of nakedness worried her. And she looked at me and she was like, "Your father will kill you." I was like, "It's why I didn't wear it, because I liked my life." Right. I liked my life. I'm at my big age. I have a little bit of shame. There's just some things I can't wear. And I don't. I get it. I can wear whatever I want. Sure. I'll give you that. You're an adult. You can do whatever you want. It's your money. Don't get mad though when judgment comes your way.
Right.
If you're gonna dish it out, you gotta take it. Some of these outfits are bad. They're bad. Why is the body stocking appropriate?
Yeah.
You only saw that in porn.
Yeah.
Why am I seeing at a ShopRite? It should not be a ShopRite though.
It's the only answer you can give with that, because now, you know, we're in a time now where like men also wear some questionable things. So you can't really all put it on the women. You know, I've done my fair share of going to supermarket and or even the bigger ones, Costco or BJ's and things like that, and it's there. It's all over the place. I don't want to say a sickness. My dad would say it's a sickness, but he's like, yeah, it's there. It's there. But to, you know, talk about the point and, you know, stress out the point that you have brought out, the clothing of choices and like the appropriateness of it. I don't know. I think you hit it right on the head. There's no shame. I think shame needs to be brought back. I think people just don't understand, like, you are free to wear what you want to wear and exactly what you had said, but the criticism, the eyes, the catcalling, the taunting and stuff like that, be prepared for that. I just don't understand like why people think like they're just going to escape certain aspects of life. Like they're going to be people that are outwardly going to comment on what you are wearing. So it's not
the blatant side eye.
Right. Like you're going to get judged. So that whole behavior of, oh, I don't care, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear. Oh, if you got it flaunted and stuff, be very careful, especially this day and age, because that, I don't know. There's a lot of people that everybody has a camera. You can be someone's topic. You will make someone's, you know, it's a lot of things. You will be someone's to something. You'll be something to someone in a not so good way, a very creepy way. It's a lot of things. I think there are a lot of people wearing stuff that are not age appropriate. That's another level to take it. Where you see some of these young girls, you look at them and you're like, you're asking for a problem. You know, you're really asking for a problem.
I remember growing up, this is probably the same for you too. If you even tried to have jeans on to go to church, I don't know about you, my mom was like, where are you going? I'm going to church. I'd have jeans on, and she'd be like, no, you're not. Go change.
Right.
Like, but mom, I was like, but mom, God don't care. That argument did not work with her. Same thing with and I couldn't go to school with sweatpants on. No sweatpants. Where are you going? I'm like, didn't you sleep in them? I'm like, no, there's sweatpants. No. Puts pants on. I'm like, oh, right. Okay. Nothing irritates my mother. My mom is in her 80s, and to this day, she sees it. She'll rant for 20 minutes. Is people who are wearing like pajamas out in public, like fuzzy pants with the Crocs. She will stop mid-sentence and just rant for 20. I'm like, Ma, but she just rolled out of bed. I'm like, Ma, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. The biggest pet peeve she has, people who look like they rolled themselves out of bed and went to public.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is over the past couple of years, and I've seen it because of the line of work that I am, when I go to the airports or even going to the store, the bonnets, the fuzzy slippers, like you said, the pajama pants, and it's becoming a uniform at this point. Like, just I'm gonna wear it. It could be snow outside, and that's what they're doing.
You're getting both evils. You're getting naked or fuzzy pants and a bonnet. There's like no in between. It's like I'm like, it's the two extreme. And it's weird because I remember years ago, I don't know what happened to it. Airlines used to have a dress code.
Yeah.
My mom goes, no, she says, no, you just there. If you weren't dressed, they wouldn't let you on the plane. I'm like, I remember that. Because she said the same. I forgot what someone had on. I forgot what it was. I think they had like booty shorts on or something weird. And she like, it used to be you had to dress to travel. Like you had to dress appropriately, and you dress. You're going to church, and that was a thing. And she says, and they will kick you. You were not allowed to get on the flight, and you couldn't argue. They're like, you can't, and you had to do it.
Right.
I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah, it's called I don't want to say we evolved, but the generations have changed.
It's not evolving though. It's going back.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not evolving. They've gotten stupider, if to be quite honest. And there's elements of our generation and even the generation before us that like this young generation has no clue. They don't even have the foggiest idea of what they're doing.
You can't even say our age because our age are just as bad.
I don't think they're just as bad. I think they partake to the point where like it just looks. I know for me, when I go outside and like if I meet up with friends or I go to a lounge or even sometimes I just go, have a cigar and whatever the case may be. I think, a lot of people, because you get it from both sides. Like I said, now even you can't really say it's just women. Like there are men that do it too.
Men will love that too.
Correct. But like just when it comes to attire, like I want a lot of these people to understand you're generally competing with people that are much younger than you. And you're doing it like the others that are of age are looking at you. I'm like, why? Like, is there right? Exactly. When someone has a question, what are you doing? When
you and your daughter are dressed the same, that's a problem.
Well, I mean, trust me, we've seen it, and they're so oblivious, I guess, or they turn such a blind eye to it that they don't see it. That like, and I think one of these, I don't want to say IG models or whatever she is, OG of whatever she was doing. I don't even understand some of these crafts. Everybody just makes up names at this point. But she says that when she goes out, she feels like her and her daughter can pretty much date the same guys in the same age group.
I think they have, and that was the disturbing part.
Right. And I don't know. It
wasn't about going on and like they're attracted to the same guy. It's like something odd like that. And I'm like, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right. Just the mindset alone tells you where this is weird. Going.
And the issue I think with men is almost like they're not trying.
They're not trying.
No, like they're not trying. Like you see, mostly just really probably younger men. You don't see it with older men so much, but
I mean, you see it
at work with tight jeans on, slung low, and I'm like, and they're at work. I'm like, at the grocery store, I'm like, isn't it hard for you to bend over when you pants like that? Like, how do you work that way? And I think that's for the male perspective. I should say, I think the style is to not care. Like, they'll pay exorbitant amount of money for like the sneakers they have on.
Mm-hmm.
But then the jeans are ripped and I was just like, huh?
I don't know. Like, I'll give some pushback on that because yes, a lot of them do care. A lot of them are the style.
I'm saying I think this style is now is just to look.
I don't know. That like
half sleep.
Like a couple of years ago, like we're not too far removed from True Religion. True Religion, you had like 50-year-olds wearing it, right? Mm-hmm. And like they had significant amount of rips and stuff like that. Now even the namesakes, the Fashion Novas and Shein and all, they provide men's stuff too. So like the fact that it's getting into that kind of arena should tell you. Like I've always understood fitted, the European look, but this is a different kind of look. yeah, it's pushing the envelope. Not that it's anything wrong. You
No,
know, you got to be politically correct these days because if not, people
but
will
I'm
use
saying
a
it still
crackdown.
goes from both sides. It's like they're putting effort and emphasis on the wrong things.
Yep, I agree.
When's the time you saw like a young person, even like at a nice restaurant, in a tie,
Yeah.
a button-down shirt? Not even tie, but at least like a button-down shirt and some slacks.
To your point, yeah. I mean,
That's
there's
like seeing a
times
giraffe on Fordham. Like you just don't see it anymore.
Fordham,
Even for a job
the,
interview, they're not doing that. Let's say it's like
The Barclays,
I mean,
Baychester Plaza, anywhere. It's
like
just
fashion goes through their cycles, but it seems for like men and women, it's getting sloppy. It's kind of maybe unkempt.
um
I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's the outfit and the event are not matching.
to them it depends on who you're asking because I've gone places and the very outfit you had explained, the body stocking,
Body
that
stocking.
seems to be pretty trending. People do it and they seem comfortable. You can tell what kind of underwear they're wearing or if they're wearing any underwear.
I'm saying it used to
Um,
be you only saw the body stocking in a particular type of store.
well, yeah, not no more. They made it
Now,
mainstream.
yes, it's very mainstream and it's alarming. And I don't know. I don't know. I just like I get it, but I don't. But again, I'm saying it has its time and place. Wear it to a club. Do I support that? Not necessarily, but it's a club. I'm like, all right, fine. You know what I mean?
But okay, so I pose
Brunch
it
at
to you.
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
No.
Shop right.
But I pose it to you like this. Okay, like relationship or trying to get into a relationship. Like if you hear all the time. I hear it a lot. I'm sure you hear it. We have social media, so you can't escape it. So you hear about, oh, he has to accept me the way I am. What is like what is the guy's mindset supposed to be with a woman who is dressed of that ilk and she's just has this don't careism attitude and like has this expectation the guy has to accept it. What is, you're a woman. What is that mindset? Like, what is that mindset all about?
But accept me as however I am.
That and the presentation, like the whole package.
I take that as I don't want to put in the work or the effort to act my age.
Okay.
Is what I take that as. Because if I'm telling you take me as I am, the proper response is going to be from the guy goes, good. And it's for you as well. You're going to take me as I am. I can't say that in all arguments. I can't tell my partner, take me as I am, and then try to change who they are.
Right.
I don't like the way you dress. I don't like this. I don't like your attitude. Okay. Well, I took you as you were and I couldn't say anything. Why am I not getting the same energy? I'd make that argument.
Yeah. I think also we take it a step further. Say you are in a relationship and then it becomes the conversation, oh, he can't tell me what I can wear and what I can and what I cannot wear. Like just help me understand because you
some
hear
reason,
we hear it. It sounds condemning, it sounds demeaning, but I think when you like let it wash over you, there's some validity to it.
when we get into, well, then it goes back into the conversation and the topic of submission.
Okay.
People, they have this notion that if a male partner says, do you think that's a good idea to wear that? Now, you can't tell me what to do. Right. But then something happens. I'm expected to call you now. Come get me. Come do this. Why? Because I went out naked and people are being inappropriate to me. Come fix it. I've made it your problem. And you saying maybe you shouldn't wear that, you're trying to avoid that phone call.
Right.
People just don't like being told no.
Yeah, that I agree.
I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to have a nasty attitude at work. I'm going to berate you. I'm going to wear what I want. And you can't tell me nothing. And that's a terrible way to go at life because isn't it cause problems? But at the end of the day, it's just people don't like to be told no. I'm right. You're wrong. That is the end of the discussion.
No, I agree with you. I think it's also something to be said that, like, you know, whether or not, it's not all the time that it's going to be bad, because there are times where men will ask or suggest, not necessarily ask, suggest, however you want to, approach it, that, oh, okay, you look nice in this. Why don't you wear this? And like the facial expressions, or like they'll get turned down. And, we've seen all the memes and all the posts of like, she looks like this when me and her are going out and chilling or doing this, but she looks like this when she goes out with her girlfriends. And it's a drastic distinction. And I just want to know, why is that? Like, what is that even about? Like, it's like some, but you have somebody. So I don't, why?
Does not matter. Because not me, but it's male validation. They want to be told you're hot, you're pretty by perfect strangers. It's a validation ego boost. I have no idea. The only person it should matter, right, is your partner. Your partner said, you look great today. Mm-hmm. Looks really good on you. I think she wear more stuff like this. That should be enough. Should.
Right.
For some, it is not. And if they don't get that instant gratification of people like, look at me, I'm so pretty. Please tell me I'm pretty. Tell me I'm pretty. Mm-hmm. They have a really bad day.
Yeah. Well, Rome wasn't built in one day. And obviously this topic in itself, we're never going to like fix everybody's, frame of thinking. Yeah. Close us up.
Well, I'm happy my girl Paige finally got her national championship. They blew out South Carolina, which I was not expecting. But congratulations to her. I hope that the people who lead women's sports, whatever sport that is, would be basketball or soccer is the other one, that they take a step back and look at the male models and like, what is it that worked for them? And how can we make it apply to us? Because not everything's going to work for everybody. And I'm hoping they take the time to be like, take a step back and let's take this apart bit by piece, and then kind of put it back together. And understand that, like you said, Rome was built in a day. You're not going to go from 0 to 100 in one season.
Right.
You have to kind of go on the up and up.
Right.
And women would just never be happy. We're just never going to be happy. It's just, you give us the world and we're like, yeah, but I want Venus now. So,
right. Well, I'm glad you're saying it, because if I say it, I'm just a male chauvinist and all those nice little buzzwords that women love to throw. But
that's because men are evil and narcissistic and controlling.
Yeah. And, all those things that are triggering to, all the masses. But
you are whatever TikTok says you are.
Unfortunately. With my closing statement, I just want sports to be competitive again. I don't think I'm asking too much. I think I speak for everybody at this point. The numbers, like I've stated earlier, it's telling. and we're definitely getting into a phase where it's like if sports is not interesting, that's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. And I don't know if it's because sports betting has become very mainstream. You can blink and it's like you put in a bet, and it's gotten to that point where you see it. ESPN, you can bet on there. You can pretty much bet on anything.
Some do say that is the driving force in sports is not
Correct.
betting.
But like I think people, the purity of the game, just the science and just the art of it is lost. I don't want to say it's lost. It's not lost, but it's dwindling.
If they stop awarding mediocrity, people might be competitive again.
Yeah, but I think people are becoming very accepting of it.
Because it's easy.
Yeah, of course, it's easy, and they're getting paid very handsomely for it. So, why should they change?
Mediocrity.
Yeah, but yeah, I just want sports to be competitive again. I can give a damn about all the extra stuff that goes on behind the scenes, because in any facet, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, but that's way above any of our pay grades. As it comes to appropriate attire, listen, I've seen people who are 40 pounds overweight trying to squeeze into things. I've seen people wearing shoes where it's probably 2 sizes too small or 2 sizes too big. It doesn't look great. You look foolish. You look completely ridiculous. Yes, I am one of those people that laugh when I see you walk by, and I'd laugh out loud. It's not like a quiet snicker or anything like that. So, like, if you see me on the street, and people have seen me in person, like, I'm not like the littlest person. So, like, if you hear me laughing, yeah, I'm laughing. I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not scared of you. No, I'm literally laughing. We live in New York City, so even if I take the subway, if I'm driving or going to the store or doing anything, it's getting to some point. If I'm doing anything, you're gonna see somebody wearing some form of ridiculousness around, and all you can do at this point is just shake your head. Yeah. You try laughing, they don't even take it as shame. They take it as a badge of honor, and they don't care. A lot of the both men and women, but more so women now, because like you said, and you hit it right on the head, the body stocking. There was a chick walking with her, I guess, boyfriend or male companion or whatever he was. And I just don't think he was very comfortable. But
where were you? They're walking on the street, or they already got a place?
Nah, they were walking into an establishment. And I just everybody looked, obviously, that everybody had the rubber, everybody had the rubberneck response, just looked and was like, wow. And you can see right through it. All you had to do was, I don't know, dark and walk by. Then it's one of those where she moves, you can see everything. So it's like, I was like, oh, if you don't care, evidently he don't care. But I think it's always funny for me where it's like, I wonder what that conversation is like when they get home or when they're leaving out.
Before they left.
Yeah. So, but anyway, tonight, guys, that's our show. This is Thinking Out Loud, and that is Yaya, Queen of Snark, and me, Clem Boogie. I am the Boogeyman. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Either good or bad, trust me, I don't hold my tongue. She doesn't hold her tongue. We will respond. Other than that, have a good night, people.
Bye.